What is blended learning? Blended learning is a student-centered approach to delivering education to the student, where the student is at the center of all classroom activities and is the focus of all attention of the instructors. Blended learning is truly the best of both worlds. Students benefit from being able to study and learn at home and from one another, and maintain the face-to-face time of the traditional classroom setting. Blended learning is an asynchronous process, meaning that there are no distinct time intervals or set times of meeting for learning information outside the classroom. The students dictate when they read, when they explore material, and when they collaborate with one another outside the classroom. What blended learning is not. Blended learning is not an online class. Online classes usually only have a portion of information that's presented through electronic media, and there is no face-to-face interaction. Blended learning is not a replacement for the instructor. In fact, the instructor will actually be able to come into the classroom and share experiences that they've had over the years that cannot be read or obtained from a single source, such as a textbook. Blended learning is not instructor-centered. Everything the instructor does in the classroom is a student-centered approach. And of course, blended learning is not less work for either the instructor or for the student, but we believe that blended learning is a model that produces a higher caliber and higher functioning paramedic. So why the change? Well, for a long time, we've taken the information, and during lecture, we expose students to all of the information, but we rarely have enough time as instructors in the classroom to confirm mastery of objectives. The blended learning model allows us to do just that. We can also maximize classroom time with blended learning. So students will come in, they will have already read the material, they will have some familiarity with the material, and now they'll have questions that they can come in and ask in the classroom setting and receive immediate feedback and a determination if they're progressing normally and as we expect with the material and retention of the material. Also, blended learning enables students to learn at their own pace. This was mentioned earlier, as this is an asynchronous process. So instead of wasting lecture time in the classroom to make sure that everybody is up to speed, the person who needs 5 minutes with a certain topic versus the person who needs 2 hours with a certain topic, both can take the amount of time that's required for them to become familiar with the information. So what does this all mean for the student? Well, this means the ability to master skills and to have better understanding of all the foundational knowledge that a paramedic needs. It also means independence. Because of the asynchronous learning process, the student can essentially become completely independent outside the classroom and doesn't require constant overview by the facility and the instructor. It also provides a sense of personal investment. We know for a fact that folks that are internally motivated tend to produce a better paramedic and higher functioning, higher caliber paramedic, as opposed to those that have external influences driving their desire to become paramedics in the first place. So what's the instructor's role out of all this? Well, the instructor can now personalize instruction for every student every day. In the traditional lecture format, unfortunately, the instructor is left with having to lecture the entire day to a group of 10, 20, sometimes 30 students in any given day. With this blended learning model, instructors can personalize instruction on a 1-to-1 ratio for those that need additional time or additional help mastering certain objectives. Instructors are also tasked with developing the critical thinking skills of each student and confirming that students can apply the knowledge that they've learned, whether through exploration on their own or through required readings. And of course, we talked about the instructor's role now being less of a teacher and instructor, but more of a facilitator, whether it be through project-based scenarios or actual hands-on demonstrations of other tasks. So what's the student have to do throughout this? Student must participate. In order to gain the full value of the blended learning process, students have to be willing to participate in and out of the classroom. They have to want to embrace the use of technology. Everything we do revolves around technology these days, so we have to make sure that paramedic students and prospective paramedics are going to be able to become fluent in the use of technology. We also require that students come prepared. Students will have reading assignments. Students will have to become familiar with information outside the classroom so they can come into the classroom and be willing to be involved and engaged throughout the day. Students are going to have to collaborate with one another. We know that students can actually teach one another at an equal level, if not better, than an instructor to a student. So learning from one another is something that each of you will be doing throughout the course. Also, students will be responsible for managing time, their own time. It's really critical for students' success for each and every student to come up with some time management strategy so that every single week they can approach the material and they can review and familiarize themselves with the material prior to coming to class to make the most out of the instructor-led time that we do have. And last but not least, students must be open-minded. As with any big change, it's important for us to be positive. It's important for us to try to make this thing work. Just think about things that you're familiar with already. For example, the EMTB recertification process is now a, before you come to class, 12-hour online session. And when you come to class, hopefully then you're prepared to discuss some of the items and some of the knowledge that you've gleaned from the information that you've read or been exposed to online. So in summary, blended learning, everybody benefits. The students benefits for all the reasons that we just mentioned. The instructors benefit for all the reasons we just mentioned. And out of that comes learning, which is the ultimate goal. We're really excited about this process, and we look forward to seeing a full class in the fall of 2013. Thank you.